Alright, so PHAINON's kit just dropped, or at least the early version of it. And wow, it's already stirring up a lot of questions. If you're into unique gameplay mechanics, especially ones that flip the field and change how your whole team works, you're going to want to hear this. By the way, as promised, since this channel just hit 30,000 subscribers, I'm giving away 5 Express Supply Passes in this video to say thank you. If you want to join, it's super simple. Just register on Loot Bar using my link in the description, then leave both your Loot Bar UID and your in-game UID in the comments below. I'll randomly pick 5 winners 1 week from now and send out the passes right away. You can also still save up to 25% on pulls through Loot Bar, so make sure to check that out too. And hey, the next giveaway is coming at 35,000, so if you're not subbed yet, now's a great time. Let's start with the big twist in his ultimate. After PHAINON activates his ultimate, he unfolds something called the Territory, and this isn't just a visual effect or a stat buff. This changes the entire battlefield. While this territory is active, all other allies leave the field. Yep, literally benched. It becomes PHAINON's solo stage, and from what we know so far, this transformation is more than just for show. Now, one thing that makes this really interesting is how it might affect team synergy. If you've played around with Hulei's duel mechanic before, that might give us a rough idea of how this works. That said, it's very important to remember, PHAINON's mechanics might not function in exactly the same way. Everything we're talking about here is from test server data or descriptions, so don't take it as gospel just yet. But still, let's use Hulei as a reference point to think through the implications. In Hulei's duel, aura-based buffs can still apply normally, which is great. Think passive bonuses from allies that don't require them to be on field. So if that pattern holds with PHAINON, we could still benefit from off-field support characters. But there's a catch. Follow-up attacks from teammates might be blocked entirely, and some off-turn triggered mechanics, like retaliations or conditional skills, could fail to activate altogether. Also, players who like to check every damage number might notice something weird. The additional damage panel might show incorrect values during this state. Again, this is based on Hulei, but the description for PHAINON's kit suggests a similar behavior. And here's something else that could shake things up. Territory skills seem to lock each other out. In other words, if one territory effect is already active, you can't activate another. This might limit the kinds of characters you pair with PHAINON if they also rely on similar mechanics. It's not about one overriding the other, it's just a hard block. So that raises questions about how PHAINON will synergize with future characters that may use territory-type skills too. Let's pivot a bit and talk about the resource that fuels PHAINON's ultimate, because this is where his kit breaks away from tradition. Unlike most characters who build up energy over time to pop their ultimate, PHAINON doesn't use energy at all. Instead, he builds up stacks of a unique resource. Right now, we don't know the official name, so we're calling it square brackets. For placeholder, this adds a totally different layer of decision-making to how you play him. Here's how he gets these stacks. Whenever PHAINON is targeted by a skill, meaning enemy attacks or perhaps even ally support skills, he gains 1 stack. If he uses his basic skill, he gains 2 stacks. And it doesn't stop there. His traces, which are his passive skill tree upgrades, also offer other ways to generate stacks, but we don't have all the fine print yet. Once he reaches a certain number of stacks, right now the cap is 12, his ultimate activates automatically. That's right, you don't press anything. When the threshold is met, it just triggers, unfolding the territory and beginning his transformation. Now, that's already a lot to digest, but it gets even more interesting when you consider his Idolons. It looks like his Idolons may reduce the number of stacks needed to trigger his ultimate, meaning a higher Idolon PHAINON could enter his transformed state much more quickly and frequently, potentially turning him into a true solo carry under the right conditions. So, how should we actually be thinking about playing him? With the territory locking out all other allies, you're essentially building a team that supports PHAINON during the early phase of battle, then steps back and lets him take over once he transforms. You could compare it a bit to characters like Jingliu, who need a setup phase before taking over. But with PHAINON, it's on a whole different scale. Your whole team leaves. It's just him. That brings up a bunch of new strategic questions. Who can support him without relying on follow-up attacks? What buffs persist even when they're off-field? Can we stack the right passives to make his solo phase completely busted? To wrap up, PHAINON looks like one of those characters who isn't just strong or weak, he's different. And that difference is going to change how we think about team building and rotations. Whether that ends up being a good thing or a frustrating one, it's clear that he's bringing something fresh to the game. And if you're someone who enjoys mastering new mechanics, he might be worth a closer look, especially once we get final confirmation on how his kit works in the live version. Until then, I'll be watching for any updates or changes from the test server and keeping you posted. Don't forget to sub if you want those updates the moment they drop. And let me know if you're planning to pull for PHAINON or just watching from the sidelines to see how things play out. Save up to 25% on the current banners at lootbar.gg. All you need is your UID and server. The link is in the description.